Greetings, people of the interwebs. So, Assassin's Creed. It's not very good. It really isn't. Just got out of the theater, I don't know, half an hour ago. I mean, I didn't really have high expectations for it because the trailers just were not very good, and video game movies aren't very good. I really don't understand why Hollywood hasn't been able to crack that code of, making video game movies work. But it looks like we still gotta wait a while until we start getting good not superhero movies, video game movies. Like, I will say, I didn't really get that much into the games. So I'm not the target audience per se. I like the concept of the games, and I like some of the actual gameplay of them. I just really couldn't get into them. And there are some things that do kind of carry over into the movie from the games, like the animus and all that stuff. Like I guess in a way they do stay true to the games and like some of the lore and all that stuff. And the visuals were pretty good. They felt like a game in a way. So I mean, like, there's a lot of good things going into this movie. Like, it's got a fantastic cast: Michael Fassbender, Marion Cotillard, Jeremy Irons. They're all fantastic actors. And in this movie, none of them excelled. They were all kind of just, Jeremy Irons was Jeremy Irons, Marion Cotillard was kind of just Marion Cotillard, and Michael Fassbender was, kind of Michael Fassbender. So I mean, like, their performances weren't bad, but they weren't. I don't know. I feel like they weren't really kind of giving it their all in the movie either. They were kind of just. They were fine. So I can't really knock them. Their performance for the movie, because again, it was pretty good. Didn't take me out of the movie or anything like that. And even some of the smaller characters, like surprisingly, Brendan Gleeson popped up in this movie, who's a fantastic character actor. I don't know why he was really in the movie, because even though he's not super famous, I still feel like they could have gotten just an unknown kind of character actor to play the same role as him. So I felt like he was kind of underutilized, but that's just because I think he's a fantastic actor, and I do like it whenever he shows up. But yeah, overall, I don't know. Like, again, everyone was fine performance-wise. Again, visuals were all pretty cool, but yeah. It's not a terrible movie. It really isn't. It's just, I guess my biggest complaint is that it's very boring, which is weird. You would think a movie called Assassin's Creed that's all about assassins and fighting the Templar would be pretty entertaining and action packed, but it was pretty boring. Like, I mean, the best scenes were when Michael Fassbender's character, which his ancestor back in the Spanish Inquisition, which in that it takes place in 1492. So that part of the movie, that was all the more entertaining and kind of best parts of the movie. Sadly, though, the part where they're in the late 1400s was only like a third of the movie. So even the cool assassin scenes, where they're running around climbing rooftops and fighting people, which again, some of those scenes are all pretty cool. Choreography and some of the fight scenes I think were pretty cool. And I think that would have been a lot better if they had just, spent more time in the 1400s, because that was just far more entertaining than the present day when, they're just like at the facility or whatever, just kind of explaining, basically exposition, just kind of telling Michael Fassbender's character why he's being hooked up to the Animus and all this stuff. It just wasn't that entertaining, and it was, I don't know, it just was not, it was boring. I could care less. And again, even the scenes where they were in the 1400s, it was still, I don't know, there was just, it was lacking something. Like, I just feel like not everyone was really, like, their minds, their hearts weren't really into this. It's like they kind of were like, yeah, okay, I'll do an Assassin's Creed movie, why not? Because again, the story's not terrible. And again, the premise is obviously really cool. But I just think the biggest problem is, they just should have spent more time in the 1400s and just maybe had that like as like half the movie, maybe even over half. Because honestly, I feel like if you just did a few scenes, obviously the first scene where they're kind of the exposition scenes where they're explaining to Michael Fassbender why he's being brought into this facility and all that stuff. It's kind of towards the beginning of the movie. That's fine. And then pepper in a few more scenes here and there where he's at the facility, and they're kind of explaining the whole current day situation and why they're doing all this. That would have been perfectly fine, but instead they decided to spend most of the movie just at that facility. There really isn't a whole lot of other locations outside of the facility. Obviously, the locations of the 1400s, which again all look nice, and a couple other scenes, but that's about it. And also, I don't know what the budget for this movie was, but I think they probably, I'm going to assume probably around 100 million. I feel like they could have done it for probably 60 to 70 million. And because I don't expect this movie to make a whole lot of money. It might break even, maybe in the theaters. If not in theaters, maybe on video on demand and Blu-ray, DVD sales, it might break even. But in theaters right now, and I think that was part of the problem too, is if they had released this movie in say August or October, I think this would have done really well, even though it's a not very good movie. But right now, it's up against Star Wars, which Rogue One is a fantastic movie, and I recommend going seeing that instead of Assassin's Creed, to be perfectly honest. I kind of wish I had just seen Rogue One for a third time. Because that's a good movie, and it's very entertaining. Even to non-Star Wars fans, I think they really like it. But, it's up against Rogue One, which is dominating the box office. And then there's the family-friendly movie Sing, which doesn't really look that good to me personally, but I'm not the core demographic there. It's more for kids and families. And those movies tend to do very well anyways, especially this time of year. So I think releasing it around, Christmas was a very weird decision, because it's not even really counter-programming, because the people who would go see Assassin's Creed are probably the same people who are seeing Rogue One and vice versa. Whereas if you had released this movie in October, where there really wasn't a whole lot of competition, I think this movie would have done much better. Again, assuming that this movie will probably not do great. It might do okay. I don't know, it might make 20, 30 million opening weekend. That's just my guess. Maybe more, maybe less, we'll see. But I don't think it's going to do that great. And a lot of the reviews that I've already seen are not very positive. I don't know. I feel like actually a lot of the reviews are maybe a little harsher than what I'm giving it, because a lot of people are just saying it's total garbage, it's a piece of crap, why they even make it, whereas it's not very good. But again, my biggest issue is just it was boring. Not that, I mean, again, they maybe could have embellished the story a little bit more, but overall, just for me personally, it was just boring. But again, a lot of that could have been solved if they just spent more time in the 1400s. So I'm not gonna tell people to not go see this movie, but I would tell them to just wait till it comes out on Blu-ray and DVD, and just rent it at Redbox or whatever, or maybe wait till it comes on a streaming service like Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or something, because it's just one of those movies where if you're just sitting at home, it's kind of a boring, afternoon, and it pops on TV, then it's worth a watch. Just not in theaters, though. It's not theater-worthy, in my humble opinion. But if people do go see this movie and they thoroughly enjoy it, and, you send angry comments, it's totally fine. I want people to enjoy this movie. I want this movie to actually succeed, even though I didn't like it. Good God, we need good video game movies. Because for the most part, most people will still say that the first Mortal Kombat movie is the best video game movie made to this day, and I like it, but it's not a very good movie. So the bar is so low to where I expected that if any of the video game movies that were coming out would be the one, it would be either Warcraft or Assassin's Creed. I haven't seen Warcraft yet. I've actually heard it's not bad, but I just figured Assassin's Creed would have a better shot because it feels a little bit more accessible to people. because Warcraft has a very niche audience, I guess, to like the kind of the video game fan base, and people like me who like fantasy, which is one of the other reasons why I wanted that movie to succeed. Is not just because I played the games a little bit and like the lore and history and stuff like that, but also because I like fantasy and I want more fantasy movies. Sadly, Warcraft didn't do that well financially. At least, I think it did pretty well, like worldwide. I think it's probably made its budget back. But Assassin's Creed, I was kind of like, yeah, it doesn't look that great, but you know, I think that'll be the one to kind of like help usher in a golden age of video game movies. Like we have this golden age of superhero movies and comic movies and Star Wars every year, which is phenomenal. But sadly, I don't think Assassin's Creed's gonna cut it. Again, not terrible. It's not great either. I don't even know if I'd say it's okay. I don't know. It's just not that. It's just boring. It's a very boring movie. But I don't know. I guess that wraps up this review because I don't really have a whole lot to say about it because again, it's boring for me personally. Again, you know, if you all go see it, you like it, great. Please support this movie because again, let's get some good video game movies, please. I feel like it shouldn't be that hard. But before I wrap this up, towards the end, actually, probably early January, we'll be doing our annual top 10 movie lists of the year and top 10 albums of of the year, which 2016. So, if you all would like to submit your top 10 lists of your top 10 favorite movies of 2016 or albums. Feel free to send them to our Twitter page or our Facebook page, or just tweet them at me personally. And then after we do our top 10 movies and albums of 2016 podcast, then I'll kind of do a separate video just kind of showcasing you all's lists. So it kind of makes it a bit more interactive and fun for all of us. But speaking of, you can follow us on Twitter at PastyPalPro to get news and updates and all that stuff, upcoming projects going on with the channel. Same with Facebook. Like us on Facebook at PastyPal Productions. Again, news, updates, all that stuff. And then of course you can follow my own personal Twitter page at IrishmanJake. Again, tweet me your lists. Even if you haven't seen 10 movies or you haven't listened to 10 albums, just whatever you have seen, whatever you have listened to. If you want to submit your lists, feel free. And again, I'll showcase them later. Yeah, probably early January is when I'll do the separate video, and also when we'll do our podcast, because there's still a few more movies we want to see towards the end of this year, and there's still a few movies that I need to get caught up on to further compile my list, so that way I have a nice solid list. But that wraps up this video. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and hopefully you all do actually enjoy Assassin's Creed if you do go see it. But again, can't entirely recommend to go see it in theaters. But if you do, again, I'm more than happy to hear what your thoughts are, whether they get their positive, negative, what have you. So, until next time, everyone, cheers.